Ibrahim Farhat is a professor of conflict resolution at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. He's joining me now in the studio. Good to have you back with us on Al Jazeera. I want to ask you about essentially the timing of all of this. We have not yet seen a response from Iran, military or otherwise, following the killing of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Now, Haniyeh, of course, was the political leader of Hamas. There's a lot of anticipation in Israel that whatever response there is likely to be significant. And yet we are now having this push for ceasefire talks. Is there, in your estimation, any connection between the apparent delay in an Iranian response and the timing of this push for talks?
Thank you for this. This is really an excellent point where I see a serious opportunity that presents itself in the midst of all of this. One is that Iran is expected to respond and will respond in order to save its image and its positioning in the region, and also to retaliate for the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh on its soil. So at the same time, Iran does not want a regional war. Iran knows that at the end of the day, it cannot challenge the United States and does not want to be pulled into this. So on the other hand, we have the United States, who's not at all interested in a regional war and has been pushing so hard to prevent it from day one of this conflict. So there is definitely an opportunity, in my view, that exists here, a huge potential for mediation or for successful mediation and for reaching a ceasefire. If the United States comes with an initiative in order to reach a ceasefire and stop Iran from responding, I think, in my own assessment, Iran will jump on this opportunity because it will save Iran from being pulled into a regional war, and it will provide the face saving that Iran is looking for. And at the same time, this is at the core interest of the United States, because also the United States, whether they like it or not, Netanyahu is pulling the U.S. administration into a regional confrontation, which is something that they were trying to prevent, because as we have seen the declared positions from the U.S. administrations, if Iran attacks Israel, we will respond. Secretary of Defense said that, Biden said that, and they will do it. So why not save yourself from being into this situation of presenting a win-win situation for Iran, for face saving, and for the United States not being pulled into a regional war. Even in Israel, this is at the core interest of the captives themselves, because they want to see a ceasefire and a release of the Israeli captives. The only thing that does not the only party that is not interested in this kind of a deal is Benjamin Netanyahu, because Netanyahu's own interest, again, in the continuation of the war and the escalation of the war, and which is what Netanyahu is trying to do, is to pull the United States into a regional war with Iran, because that's what his actions said, that not his statements, his actions, which is more concrete and more accurate. 1 week, the following week after his return of his visit from the United States, went onto this unprecedented escalation of the assassination of Haniyeh on Iranian soil, and also assassination of the second person in command in Hezbollah.
The dynamics in terms of the negotiations have changed very, very slightly, in as much that the personnel and the personalities involved have changed as well. Ismail Haniyeh is no longer part of the negotiating team. He was broadly seen in Hamas terms as a moderate to some degree when it came to the negotiations. Yahya Sinwar is a very different personality, and of course he's in Gaza. Ismail Haniyeh travelled a great deal for these negotiations. Sinwar is unlikely to do that. Do you think that is going to have any significant difference when it comes to the types of negotiations, the types of talks, and the tone that the talks are held in?
Since Sinwar was appointed Hamas leader, there has been this reputation in the world media that he's a hardliner, and he is, and that will affect the negotiations around. In my own view, I honestly don't see any difference in the position of Hamas political leaders before with Ismail Haniyeh and demands that Sinwar is asking for now, which is basically the Hamas, the Palestinian position, is a complete ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, from the Philadelphia corridor, and all other areas. This was always the case since day one of this war, that the position held by Ismail Haniyeh. And the position will continue to be with Sinwar. No changes on the position. No Palestinian leadership, whether it's hardline, moderate, anyone would accept for Israeli presence in the Gaza Strip in any ceasefire. Now, however, there is one important thing here is that that can affect the negotiations, which is the logistical part, which refers to your question. And yes, you're absolutely right, in my view. I think the logistical aspect will be more complicated. We had Haniyeh being in Doha, and the Qatari leadership is negotiating and mediating directly in a very easy logistical way. Now is the communications, the logistical, communicating with Sinwar. It will be more challenging, it will be more difficult, but at the end of the day, the position, the very fixed position of the Palestinian side, Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, complete ceasefire. Unless this is achieved, there will never be any ceasefire that any political party, Palestinian party, moderate or hardliner, will sign on such a deal.
It's always interesting to get your views on this. Ibrahim Khayyam, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.